Alrighty then, two successful indie author 5-minute focuses back to back. This is episode 26, Comparisonitis, which goes hand in hand with the writing your first story. We all suffer from it. We all try to emulate it. So we embrace it at first because, hey, when I first started writing, I loved Anne McCaffrey. I loved Dragon Riders of Pern. I reread it first before I started writing, and guess what? I couldn't write like that. So it was the moon-faced thief of joy at the beginning until I realized, hey, it's not bad. And after I wrote my first story, I'm like, okay, let me just embrace, here's how I'm writing it. We'll clean it up later. And then my readers came back and said, man, this reminds me of Andre Norton. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. I had read a lot of Andre Norton. I'd read a lot of Heinlein. So Comparisonitis, I unintentionally, inadvertently embraced the styles that I liked most. And some of the language that was more flowing, like Anne McCaffrey's first book. I couldn't replicate that. I could in some instances, only later. So, and that was, hey, let's get this flow better. But that took a lot of practice. So, of course, you want to write stories as well as the ones you've read. You write your first book and you're like, man, this is nowhere near as good as, well, no kidding. It took them a while. And even if that's their first book, they just hit it big, so be it. It takes everybody else. It takes practice to get to that same location. So, of course, it's not as good. Accept that and practice and work your way up to it. Readers are forgiving. And this is a good thing if you tell a good story, because I wrote my story. I'm like, man, I really wanted this to be like Dragon Riders. It wasn't. It was a different story. I wasn't mirroring the plot or anything like that. But the readers were very kind. They're like, hey, I love the story. Hey, this was a little hokey. This was a little flat. This was a little juvenile. But I like the story. I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, take the good with the bad. And this is where you put on your business hat, take off your artist hat, and don't be offended, and try to learn. First books, not as good as my latest books, but my latest books, readers will read them, jump in and say, hey, these are great. Oh, look at this backlist. Cats. I love cats. Let me go read Free Trader. And they get there and like, I can see how far you've come as an author, but I love this story. And some of my stories that readers love the most are those very first ones I wrote. And this is when you first go on that journey of writing, you're like, hey, I'm writing a story. You're passionate about it. You're really trying to get those words down. You're trying to share those thoughts, those feelings. You're moving your story forward. And you get to the end and you're like, oh, man, this isn't as good as Comparisonitis. Stop that. Slap yourself silly. And then go back into it and let the readers decide. Once you start marketing it, when I first started marketing it, I marketed it for a different audience. And so many comments, so many reviews were like, this is YA. So I moved it into YA, and adults still read it, but they were looking for YA. But it was a perfect fit. And then the reviews got a lot of 5-star reviews after that. And people were happy with the story, and it really sold like gangbusters too. So readers are forgiving. They will accept your voice if you're telling a good story. So tell a good story. And your voice will be unique. Embrace it. There's things that I do that it drives my editor nuts. It's not grammatically incorrect, but certain things, little tweaks and twitches, like I will put a period and then end that sentence on a new paragraph because I really want to highlight these words. And my editor's like, just complete the sentence. Let's move it up here. Oh, don't do that. And she finally lets it go. And now it's like, okay, that's my voice. I'll finish a sentence on the next paragraph. And it's just like 2 words. It's my way of highlighting those words because you can't always guarantee that you'll get that formatting, bold, italicized, whatever, within the reading system that people use to read your book. So by moving it to that next line, I highlight it, whether bold, underlined, italicized worked or not. So it gives it that focus. So it's your voice. Make it unique. Don't change grammar. Don't go from past to present, back to past. That's your editor can fix that stuff up, and you need to fix that stuff up at the first with your first pass. That's not your not COVID. I've been coughing for 30 years. So the You can fix it. Having good grammar and spelling correctly is different than your voice. There's a lot of people get flipped out over, hey, that's my voice. No, 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 that's just bad grammar. And you're going to drive readers away. There's compromises that you need to make to keep the readers reading your good story. So don't make your voice so unique that it's like, hey, this is incompetently written. And that's what you don't want. So write the story. You're not going to write it as well as the ones you've read, but write it well. Write a good tale that keeps readers reading. It's going to take practice. Accept that. And if you keep rewriting the same story, guess what? You only have one story. If you write a story and then move on, and don't let perfect take you away from being a published author. Don't, because your idea of perfect may be far different than other people's idea of perfect. If I had written 50 Shades of Grey, I might have been disappointed in my efforts, except for the fact that it sold 91 million copies. So not so much. Let the readers decide. And the readers are forgiving if you tell a good story. Your voice will be unique. Embrace it and do more of it and make it better and better as you keep writing. And you're going to see that it will evolve. So good luck. Write that story, keep writing, and we'll talk to you later.